We are live in 3, 2, 1. Sorry, folks, we had some technical difficulties, but I am here with the man who has walked the world, Tyler Wood. What's up, dog?
Hey everybody.
All right, so I'm gonna hop on here. I'm gonna make sure this audio and stuff is working as it should be. Let's make sure this is
Hey
going.
everybody.
Yep. Cool. All right, so our technical difficulties have been resolved. We are good. So
Uh,
I have met Tyler for all of about 2 seconds. I bought a badass laptop case off of him, and then he talked to me for probably a minute, and like one maybe 2 minutes, and I was like, dude, I gotta have you on my podcast. Like that was all it took. One, I knew you were rad when you got out of the truck and you gave me a hug. I was like, oh yeah, this guy's
oh,
awesome.
nice.
I was like, this
Yeah.
dude's cool as hell. And then he starts telling me, yeah, man, like I've done this and I've done that, and I won't give nothing away. I'm gonna let you tell the stories. I just want to be able to ask some of the questions. But he has done some really rad stuff, and I am very excited to share some of his stories with you guys. So, where did things begin? How about that? Can we start there?
Where did things begin?
Yes.
I am from West Lafayette,
All right.
Indiana. Um, I guess we can begin. I mean, right after I graduated high school, I began I guess exploring. I moved to Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
That was the first big leap into the unknown. I had been on a camping trip there when I was in sixth grade and came home and super serious and said, Mom, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do after high school, but I'm gonna go to Colorado. So I actually did go to Colorado,
Yeah.
followed through on that. Um, After that, I mean, I got a job working with AmeriCorps, which was great. I mean, that's a volunteer service, kind of like Peace Corps, but you stay in the United States. I was camping for 10 days and going back into the city and partying with my hippie roommates,
Yeah, rad.
going to all the cool shows, going to Red
Yeah.
Rocks and everything like this.
Yeah, sure.
I ended up teaching snowboarding
Oh, okay.
up in Copper Mountain after that. Um, yeah, one day I just, smoking a bunch of weed and looking on the internet for the coolest next thing I can do.
Yeah.
And that was an internship in Australia
Okay.
with Outward Bound, which is, I mean, as far as companies or anything like that goes, it's the most influential company or business or one of the most influential things in my life in Outward Bound. When I was 19, I moved to Australia. And instead of going to college, I did an 8-month internship that got me like the equivalent of a 2-year degree.
Okay.
So, yeah, I did that in 8 months and started working as a full-time guide. So I was guiding youth, say grade 10, high school kids, 16 years old, something like this. And I was taking groups of 18 kids out solo for 10 days. At a
Really?
time, random groups of kids. Some people are special, some people are cool, some people, you get all sorts of different kids in there. A
Yeah.
lot of them had never been camping before, but
Oh shit.
this is the thing about Outward Bound. It's using the outdoors as a tool for growth, using the outdoors as a tool to develop yourself as a person, to practice your leadership, teamwork,
Dude, how
um,
rad too.
resilience, everything. So,
Sure.
um, this for me, that's what I did instead of college, and that was super formational
Yeah.
uh,
Were you
for
nervous?
me. Was I nervous? No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I was just,
Just jumping right into it, and you're like, this is
well,
it.
I wasn't really good at it to start.
Well, of course
Um,
not. Right. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
anything
because I
someone's.
had never done a lot of expeditions and stuff like this, but
Yeah.
um, it really influenced me later down the line. That was like the basis. So since then, I've been moving around the world working as an outdoor adventure guide.
Yeah. And where are you at now? Like, what's the next one?
I bounce back and forth between Guatemala right now.
Okay.
So I'm a volcano expedition guide in
Dude.
Guatemala. I guide overnight volcano expeditions
Yeah.
up and down and around the most active volcano on this side of the world, or the world.
Yeah. Have you ever had any
Uh,
close calls?
yes, I have.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh
So,
shit.
my job is to get people as close to Volcan Fuego, just outside of Antigua, Guatemala, as close to that crater, which about every, say, 20, 30 minutes, more or less, there'll be an eruption of about 1,000 feet.
Oh, it's very active.
So I'm getting as close as that as possible. I mean, in 2018, or 2017, there was a massive explosion that, I mean, wiped out an entire town of people. It's a very
Holy shit.
unpredictable volcano.
Oh, really?
So you got to have a lot of respect for it. And when I would first went there, I needed to learn a couple times. I was guiding with all these young gun Guatemalan kids that kind of renegades. You just go as close to the volcanic crater as you can, and sometimes it wasn't safe. So,
Damn, yeah.
uh, yeah, there was one time I was a little bit too close. It rained boulders about, I mean, bigger than a basketball. 20 boulders, maybe about 30 feet in front of me, just
Like all
coming from
molten,
about.
like molten type of deal, or
You said you had been to Hawaii
yeah,
and seen some volcanoes there. There,
yeah,
the lava flows like water.
yes,
Here, it's friction volcanoes, right? Hawaii, it's in the middle of a tectonic plate, so it just
yeah, yeah.
kind of
Because when it
comes
came,
up unobstructed, same as Iceland. So the lava kind of flows like more liquidy, putty.
yes, yeah.
But in Guatemala, that friction of the tectonic plates from Alaska down to Patagonia, it's all friction explosions. So you get implosions, you get
Oh, so it's
big ash
yeah, so it's probably
explosions,
pretty gnarly
everything
when
like
she
this.
goes.
So it's boulders and ash
Really?
of lava. So,
Oh shit. So it's like
one of the volcanoes I guide, Volcan Pacaya, it ends up kind of flowing like a river, but you imagine like a river of cold peanut butter. It builds up to about 10, 15 feet high, these massive lava flows, and these chunks of lava are falling over each other. It's
a-
quite.
and is it like the kind of lava where it's like black almost on top? Like it looks like you could almost touch it, or is it red?
It's red in the middle, yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Because
it's
like
glowing hot.
I've seen
It's
some of
glowing
them where
hot,
like they
man.
yeah, like where they're like black on top and it doesn't look like it's hot and it's
Yeah,
just like a cover, and
yeah,
it's like, oh no, it's gonna burn whatever's there.
yeah. So you got to be careful.
Yeah. Yeah, like I
For
was telling you,
sure.
the one in Hawaii where, you could see it off in the distance, it just looked like a house fire. It was just kind
Yeah.
of glowing a little bit. It wasn't
Hmm.
and it was cool, but it wasn't like super spectacular. I'm also like 300 yards away from
Well,
it.
you can see the volcano from the town that I live in, Antigua, Guatemala.
Yeah.
So this is full of just beautiful, picturesque rooftop cafes that you can see the volcanoes from. So you can be sitting there drinking your coffee or beer, watching the volcano go off on a clear day.
Really?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It goes up to 13,000 feet, and
Oh, wow.
um, uh, sometimes it even rains ash in the town if the wind is the right direction. So,
Damn.
Antigua is a very special place. It's a city locked in time. It's a World Heritage Site. So, this is my 5th year going down there to live for a season.
Okay.
So you imagine from, say, the year 800 to 1700. This was 1774 or 6. There was a big earthquake that wiped out Antigua, which at the time was like the cultural, religious epicenter of Central America. Then an earthquake came through and wiped out the whole thing. So it sat empty for a couple hundred years, and then some people came back and restored it, and they've made it a World Heritage Site. So it can never be built on. You can never have big high-rise hotels and everything like that.
Oh,
So
really?
it's old cobblestone streets, colorful buildings. I mean, it's just surrounded by volcanoes.
Dude,
Sunny 75 degrees every day, so
oh, sick.
I miss the Indiana winters,
Yeah,
as
so are
I'm
you
sure you
down
all can imagine.
are you down there
Yeah.
only during the winters then?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
So I haven't had a winter in 8 years. And I
Okay.
used to be a snowboarding instructor.
Yeah, yeah. So
I
it's
miss winter, but yeah, I love it down there. I love the volcano. I've grown very close with it.
and like as wild as this is, this occupation or this lifestyle, really, it's like this is just the tip of the iceberg on like the wild stuff that you've done, right? Like,
Yeah, that's just guiding. Like
yeah, that's. I mean, not to take away, but like
it's a
that's
lot of
nothing from what like these other stories
yeah.
that you've told me. Like, you did what?
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
meet this guy. I'm like buying this laptop case. I'm like, this dude's rad. Like, okay, you're an instructor. Like, you're taking people around like a tour guide, and like, how cool is that? And then he's like, oh yeah, by the way, I kayaked my ass off from here to Texas. Like, did
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. We're
So
located like right by the Wabash River here. I kayaked right by Attica. So I left Fort Ouiatenon
yeah,
in October 2018
okay.
in a kayak. I actually walked out of the house that in the where I grew up. And
Is that like where I met you?
yes.
Yeah,
So I
okay.
walked from there to Fort Ouiatenon.
Yep.
My family and a couple friends met me at the boat ramp, and I set off. And I didn't. I mean, I came back home a few times, but I kept going for a year and a half until I went back all the way down to the bottom of South America. So, and
So
I ended up,
how what do you mean you came home? Like you flew back?
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
So you flew back and then I just left the kayak somewhere and came back and got it kind of thing?
exactly,
Yeah. How long
exactly,
did this whole operation take?
a year and a half.
A year and a half.
So, um, to make it easy,
Yeah, you got
I
this.
got a little prop.
This thing's
So
sick.
I made this map. This is the Americas, West Lafayette, Indiana, right here. I kayaked first to New Orleans, which was about 1,300 miles. I did it in 28 days, kayaking 50-mile average every day for 28 days. It's one of the proudest physical accomplishments of my
Dude, that
life.
had to have been hell, was it not? Like,
Uh, there's different aspects of hell. And
yeah.
yes, yeah,
Like that had to
hell
have
and
been.
glory, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
just incredible. I mean, the uh, the people that I met on the waterway, on the waterways of the United States. I mean, what a great taste of culture in the United States. You know, you look at media and you can really be overwhelmed by the hatred and everything like this, but that's why I do these trips. I say I do it for three reasons. One, to test myself.
Sure.
Two, to inspire others. And three, to like experience, to beholden the beauty of humanity. So if you show up at a say the first night I showed up in Covington, Indiana, it was super cold. I mean, probably about 40 degrees.
Oh,
Like super, it was like record low temperatures for October. The day after I left, it snowed here.
okay.
Um, but you know, I connected with somebody at the boat ramp in Covington, and they ended up just like, I think what you're doing is amazing, and they gave me $20, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and it happened. I would have these momentary, you know, meetings with people at the boat ramps and around town, and people want to help you. It's organic. When you're vulnerable there and you show up, it cracks open the person's shell across from you.
Yeah.
So you get these kind of more hardened people that are able to give a little bit more naturally. So yeah, I call myself a modern day miner of human empathy.
Damn, that's really cool. Yeah.
Uh, so, you know,
So
yeah.
I think your three reasons of doing it, like how incredible that is for one. I think that's it's super noble to begin with, but on top of that, like the amount of people that you must run into, especially like you're saying, like hardened people that and especially people being inspired by like media and stuff, and it's the wildest thing because I haven't kayaked from here to anywhere in particular that is cool, but I understand the polarization of like the media versus real life. It's not the same. All the stuff that the media paints out, like I've been all over the place and I've always met good people. In fact, I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever really met any assholes. I mean, maybe a couple, but not that I can recall. Like I've been to Iceland and Ireland and Hawaii and all over the United States and I can't think of really anybody that I've ever been like, man, that guy was kind of a dick, you
Yep.
know? And so like it must be really profound and humbling to go through these big expeditions and like this giant physically challenging quest that you're on and meeting such amazing people that are there to kind of cheer you on along the way and they don't even know you. You know, me
Exactly.
being an example of like I met you for 5 minutes and I was like, wow, what an inspiration, what a great story this guy's got to tell. I would love for other people to be able to hear it. And then, you know, you telling me that like, well, I've been on the radio and stuff and all these guys have given me these great opportunities and to be able to explain my story. And it's like, yeah, you know, you're the one putting in the work. Of course, people are going to want to hear it. That must be really inspirational and humbling, you know, to be a part of that.
I mean, it's pretty cool. Yeah, you invited me over for dinner tonight.
Yeah, right,
Uh,
right.
I came home after that, and my mom was like, "I can't believe you just met a guy off Facebook Marketplace, and he's going to his house for dinner." And
Yeah, yeah. Did your mom
but
think that I'm like a psychopath serial killer?
dude, yeah, but that's a perfect. No, no, she didn't.
Yeah,
But that's a perfect example of just me even like saying that. You're like, "Whoa, dude! Like, come on over. I want to hear more." Like,
yeah,
and now we're more intimate than
right.
we ever would have been.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, um, yeah,
So like, you know,
maybe I'll keep going.
yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
It's
off
a
on your phone.
long journey here.
Yeah, I just
This
don't
is
want
my
to.
biggest. Yeah, I've done a lot of different stuff, but um, yeah, I kayaked from here to New Orleans, and then um, mm, as far as the full distance, there's 350 miles between New Orleans and Houston along the Intercoastal Waterway.
So would that be like
Um,
the Gulf?
I couldn't find anybody that had done, yeah, just right on the inside. It goes from down near Corpus Christi, Texas, to the bottom of Texas, all the way up through the Carolinas into New York. It's
Okay.
an inland waterway that is used for trade.
Oh,
It's
really?
built by
Okay.
the Corps of Engineers, I think. But
Yeah.
um, that was a blessed experience. I was an alien on the waterway. I met some down south people,
Oh,
man.
yeah. How was that
um,
hospitality, boy?
Oh, it was great. It was great. I
Yeah.
stayed the first night out of New Orleans. I mean, I went through a lock out of New Orleans. And the lockmaster, he's like, I've been working this lock for over 20 years. And I ain't never seen a kayak. It was the Algiers lock right across from Jackson Square in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And he's like, I've never seen a kayak. And then that night it was like record low temperatures, and I showed up to a boat ramp in a suburb of New Orleans, and my only option to sleep was like in a raised, wet, grassy area surrounded by like boggy, wet, grassy area, and
Oh.
that would have been terrible. So there was one person there at the boat ramp or one truck, so I creep on over and I start talking to him, and it was Franklin and Patricia.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Franklin and Patricia. Franklin, he was a pretty chill dude, and Patricia, she was sitting there in the passenger seat, kind of like, chewing on her lips a little bit, kind of like, okay, maybe she's got some issues here coming on.
Right.
So she's crazy vibes from you didn't even have to talk to her, and I'm like, yeah, I guess I'll just sleep right here tonight. Bitten him to think, and eventually he invited me back to his house. Franklin did, and
Yeah.
I sat in the back of the truck with their basset hound, who was like kind of scary. He wanted to kill me.
Yeah. Did you
So
take the kayak or did you leave it?
put the kayak in the back of the truck and went back to their trailer.
Damn, so you're so you're probably a little cramped back there. Now you're going to some rando's place at their trailer.
Yeah. So
Okay.
then we park at this trailer. It's like a double trailer. It's an L. So you got one and then the other.
Damn, got kind of like a Taj Mahal of trailers.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And I got out of the back of the truck, and the dog like lunged for me and ripped my rain jacket, and I was kind of a little bit. I don't know, like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then this like 6'4" gangly Cajun guy, super tan, looked like he was strung out on something, comes out and starts yelling at the Patricia, "God damn the electricity, come on there!" I guess their electricity had gone off and everything like this. And
This
it's a
old boy's,
normal thing.
and he's pissed.
Apparently, that's Patricia's brother who's dating Franklin's ex-wife in the trailer right next door.
The double trailer. So
Yes.
they're on the trailer B.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So
All right.
quite the interesting living
little,
situation, and
you
they're
got a
all just
Tangled up web there.
Exactly, they're all just living easy, getting what they can.
And they bring home this hippie guy that is kayaking on the fucking water.
Yeah, so they use like the last $10 of their Social Security or
Electricity fund, apparently.
And they got us a joint, and we all sat in that little tiny trailer that night and watched some National Geographic. And she told me some crazy stories about chasing people down the street with baseball bats and like just being homeless on the streets for so many years.
Damn, Patricia's a wild cat.
Yep.
Okay.
So, I mean, that was just one taste of like so many people that I met.
Yeah. Were you like, this shit? Like in the middle of this.
But
all right,
they were
so
so nice. They helped me.
Right,
They
no
helped
doubt.
me.
Yeah.
Everybody helped me, and everybody is a teacher, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I never.
So what were you thinking? What were you thinking when they went to bed and you fell asleep like on this couch? You're laying there. You had to have been like,
I was on a little love seat.
okay, yeah. So you're laying on this love
Small,
seat. Were
yeah.
you just thinking like, what the fuck am I doing?
I was just kind of happy for a roof and walls.
Yeah,
I didn't really
yeah,
care.
yeah.
And
Yeah, you're probably not too concerned about anything
If
else.
you got a roof and walls and you're not, sleeping outside on a night like that, you're just blessed for that. And I
Yeah.
was super grateful that they, I don't remember specifically, but I'm sure they made me some dinner and made me some food.
Right.
And just that they spent time with me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so cool. It's so cool. So then,
so many people were so kind. I ended up actually, by the time I arrived to Houston, I had actually come out in like a net profit.
damn, really?
Because people had given me, they just went hunting and they give me a fresh summer sausage, or they
Right.
say, "Shit, man, I think you're crazy. Here's $20."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I actually, the trail provided, as I like to say, the
Yeah.
trail provides.
No
So,
shit. Yeah.
You put yourself up there, and you're patient.
Yeah.
It'll eventually come.
So the next morning with Patricia and Franklin, what do they do? They drive you back to
They just dropped me off, and I went on my way.
And so where'd you go from there?
Well, I continued on all the way to Houston.
Okay. So then
in Houston, my uncle met me. He had a bike.
like a bicycle?
Bicycle.
Yeah, okay.
And I wanted to get to Mexico. So the idea was to get a sailboat to Mexico. So
Now, do you have any money on this? Like, are you taking money on this trip or no?
I had money in the account. I had about 10 to 12 grand was my
Oh, okay.
was
All right.
my,
Yeah.
budget.
Okay, gotcha. Sure.
But yeah, with an ex, we went to every marina in Houston, and I hung posters. I asked everyone I saw, and I ended up getting a ride exactly where I wanted to go on a sailboat.
Oh, so you didn't have to buy one?
No, I crewed a ship. So I was night watch on a sailboat with a crew of 4 people from Rockville, Texas, to Isla Mujeres, Mexico, right outside of Cancun.
Okay.
So that was crazy. It was with one professional, one good sailor, and a couple people pretty new to sailing, and there was a lot of disaster throughout the whole trip. We barely made it to the other side.
No shit.
When we ended up We didn't know it, but when we got to the dock in Mexico on the other side after sailing for, I believe it was about an 8-day passage. I puked for the first 4 days, couldn't eat.
From like seasick.
It was terrible. I was night watch, so I didn't sleep either.
Oh man.
And I had never been so miserable in my life. But anyways, the sail ripped twice, the engine went out, the power steering went out, the autopilot went out. It was riddled with disaster. Stuff was all over the cabin. But when we got finally to the other side, we were by the dock, and we couldn't pull into the dock. We ended up doing 2 full circles because we had no steering.
Oh.
So we did two full circles in this big 54-foot sailboat, looking like a bunch of dummies. They ended up having to toss us a rope and drag us in by the bow.
Really?
So it turned out that we had dragged this massive, massive tarp across the entire Gulf of Mexico. We had picked it up on the intercoastal canal on our rudder.
Oh,
and
so
this is what broke the autopilot.
Oh shit! It's all wrapped up
engine,
all of
everything. Everything went wrong because we ended up
like a blue tarp.
Yeah, just a regular tarp wrapped around and just making our life hell on the boat.
Damn.
It was crazy. So
yeah.
I ended up when I went to pull my bike out after we crossed, our bike was bent. I couldn't.
Because you took the bike on the boat.
I couldn't get the derailleur in the right position to continue riding after.
Let me tell you about derailleurs. Those things are a pain in the ass, dude. Yeah. From a fellow biker.
Yeah, always carry zip ties.
Dude,
I'll tell you
derailleurs are a pain in
always
the
carry
ass.
Zip ties.
And your little Phillips screwdrivers with the A and the B thing that you got to screw, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I ended up having to zip tie the derailleur to the frame of the bike to get the right angle.
Oh yeah. Because in just one gear in it.
But there was a guy who helped me. He was a legend. He had ridden a horse for 20 years from the bottom of Argentina all the way up to Canada.
Oh,
and now
shit.
he was just sailing. He had sailed around the world twice, and he spoke and he wrote books, and he was a very relaxed guy. And he had, I mean, what a dream he was living. So I asked him one piece of advice.
Yeah.
And he said, write every day. So
have you been doing that?
After that, on my journeys, I write every day.
Really?
Yeah. So I just finished a bicycle ride from Ireland to Istanbul.
Yeah.
And I wrote every single day. I journaled a story every single day.
Just like a story as to like what happened throughout your day kind of thing?
Yeah, occurrences with people, things I might have thought.
Do you go back and read them?
Well, I'm in the process of writing a book right now about the Indiana to Patagonia and my whole life surrounding that trip. That's just kind of the end.
I will buy that book. I want to be the first one to buy it.
Yeah. So it's quite the process. I've got about 500 plus pages of mumbo jumbo, but I've got a lot of recorded journals that bring back the memories and can put me back in the moment and put me back writing. So
yeah,
I'm hoping I can have something published by the holidays in 2025.
Oh,
so
damn, really?
Year,
so for real, like soon?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like a year from now.
Yeah, I would.
But it's been a goal of mine for like 4 years to create, a reflection. It's an important part of the journey.
Yeah, I would love to read that book, dude. That would be so cool. That would be so cool.
Yeah, the thing is though, the trail never ends, man.
Right, you're just gonna write. Yeah,
so you really got to make space for yourself to write. Right. The trail never stops, and I've found myself just in this whirlwind of life, constantly trying to write, but never having enough time. But you got to make it. You got to make it.
So I was telling you, me and a buddy of mine were doing the 75-day challenge thing. Like you've seen the Peloton and all that shit. Like I'm trying to work out and be a little more fit and like trying to eat better and no drinking alcohol, none of that shit. I'm pretty much strictly water. And the one thing that I'm really struggling with is the writing. Like I've been trying to write, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
going through this book. I'm reading this book. It's called Man Up. It's a great book. It's kind of like like a get your ass in gear book. And then so like as I'm reading that, I'm like trying to write, and like I wonder, am I going to go back and read this stuff or not? Like part of me thinks no. Like I'm not. Maybe I won't, but
I never do.
yeah, never go
No,
back and read it.
no, not really.
Yeah,
Maybe if I want to reflect, like, hey, what was I doing last Halloween or something like that.
right.
But no, it's more as a tool and just kind of like to get it off my chest. So I don't
Yeah,
need to worry about it. I can kind of forget about it after that.
yeah. So that's a great way to put it because
It's a
I
good way to
felt that
clear your
way.
mind.
Yeah, like as I've been writing, like all the stress and animosity and whatever you're going through, the anxiety and all this shit, it does seem to go away a little bit after you write some shit down. It's almost like you get it out and then you're done with it for a minute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Well, it's an act of. I mean, it's an act of courage, if you ask me.
yeah, that's a
So
great way to put it because
yeah,
when I first started it, I was like, okay, I was listening to the audiobook Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. Have you listened to this
I've
or
heard
read
of
it?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great book. But I was listening to it, and as I'm going through it, I'm just writing down like bullet points, right? Like shit that I want to like maybe remember or something that's a little profound or well, whatever it is. And so that was how I started, but I was almost like insecure about writing about myself. Like even though I knew no one was going to read it or if they did or what, whatever. It wasn't even that. It was just that, like I don't know, I just felt weird about writing. But then after I started, it was like it was easy. Like I was just,
Mm-hmm.
it's like kind of that act of courage, like you're saying, like, okay, once you break through this threshold and you start writing, it, I couldn't stop. Like I was just writing and writing and
Yeah.
writing, and it was very, very beneficial.
I think I actually find more security the deeper I go.
Really.
I think especially when it comes to posting on social media,
Yeah.
I think if like what if you try to make it short, it can be taken so many different ways,
Sure.
and people are looking for reaction,
Right.
right? And if
Yeah.
you get people reading a whole story, it kind of dilutes that reaction, so it's much less toxic for everybody.
Oh, sure, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean,
Yeah,
I get that. Yeah.
yeah,
Like and a lot of people say with me like all my shit's on social media, right? Like I do the stories, like the Snapchat and Instagram and Facebook
yeah.
stories. I do that shit pretty
You
much.
got your web well connected, brother.
Yeah, yeah. So like I
A
do that stuff.
tech dummy like me, you know.
Me too, dude. I just point and guess.
Yeah, yeah.
But all that stuff on like social media, like just the other day, I was out in public and someone's like, "Oh yeah, you don't have any secrets. Everything's on the internet." But like, it's really not that way. It's really not. It's like, other than the podcast, really, the podcast is probably the most intimate way that I do react with like people that watch my stuff, right? So like, I post like vlogs and like travel videos and like I do the Christmas thing, and like I make videos about that. But those most of the time are highlights. And
Mhm.
I don't really do Instagram much because a lot of times with most of the things that I see or people posting are highlights. It's like a highlight reel. Well, I don't really like that. I like the authenticity. So like the stories and stuff, it's daily and it's boring and mundane and not so hip and cool or it's just the boring shit. And so I find that stuff to be easier to post because it's real. And I like that. And I like that like the stories that you're telling, like where you're going to make a big long post, it's real. It's authentic. It's like, dude, today I did this and I met Franklin and Patricia and I stayed in their thing. It's not like
Mhm.
today I'm on the most beautiful scenic waterway of all of mankind and here's a picture of it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it can
find
be
that,
like if you're trying to convey an idea,
yeah,
you're like, I had a conversation with this person about this,
yeah,
and you can reflect on that, and it's not,
right.
or you can learn from it, or I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I'm totally on board with that. 100%. So back to Franklin and Patricia and your sailboat. So you make it down to Mexico because I don't want to lose the story. I wanted to hear this shit.
Yes, 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 yes,
All
yes.
right. So you make it to Mexico. You're on a sailboat
Do do do.
with what? Four? You said
Mexico.
four other guys, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
four other dudes on a sailboat. And You never met these guys, right? And now you picked up.
No,
Yeah.
no, they were lovely, lovely
I'm assuming you speak Spanish.
couple. They were brought to like it was the captain and his girlfriend,
Okay.
and then another person that they found on a website called Crew Seekers.
Okay.
So he had just gotten done with an around the world race,
Oh, okay.
and he was clutch money to have on that trip. I don't know whether we would have made it without him.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, if the dude's going
it
around the
was
world. Yeah.
it was quite stressful. So
Yeah. So, and I'm assuming you speak Spanish, right? Like, so you.
actually moved to Guatemala the year before I started this trip in 2017 to
Okay.
learn Spanish in preparation for this trip.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Yeah,
So you're pretty well prepared.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
All right.
So, yeah, then I hit the road out of Cancun, and I ride through all of Central America.
And this is on the bike
So I
with
went
the zip tied
Mexico,
derailleur.
Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Honduras, Costa Rica, Panama.
So,
Um,
but you rode this on the bike, the zip tied up derailleur bike. Is that
yeah,
right?
Yeah. It was a
okay.
Trek 820 mountain bike.
I had a Trek 820.
As basic
Yep. I
as
had
you
one.
get.
I had a Trek 820. In fact, the bike that you seen downstairs,
Yeah.
I ditched the 820 and I bought that bike.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
so I know exactly what you're talking
It's like
about.
the elementary of mountain bikes.
100%. Yeah,
And,
it's a short, stumpy little bastard.
Yep. I
Yep.
rode that thing. I rode it 4,000 miles.
You know, and the bike that I was telling you about, the derailleur that pissed me off, was on the Trek 820. Shimano derailleur
Yeah.
on the 820 sucks. Right. Okay.
So I stopped in Guatemala on that. My parents came down and visited me, so that was their first time to Guatemala.
Okay.
They're gonna be coming again this winter.
Yeah.
So they're pretty excited about that. We're hoping my aunt comes down as well.
Yeah.
And I got to guide some trips on the volcano. It was
Okay. Sick. Yeah.
really cool. And also that was post that massive, deadly eruption. So actually, the day after leaving Antigua, I stayed in San Miguel Los Lotes, which is the town that was literally a town of 3,000 people buried in 3 meters of ash.
Damn. Really.
So, I mean, an entire town of people pretty much suffocated and buried alive. And for me, that was actually the safest place to stay a year after because there was nobody there.
Damn. Yeah.
So I crawled inside of a roof. Inside of a doorway because, the doorway, which is usually 7 feet or something like this.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it was more like 2.5 feet.
So you
Just-
crawled like through
so
the
I
rubble.
crawled through, and I actually slept in an old house.
Damn. So did it have like
To-
rubble and shit inside of it, or was it pretty much all?
It
on the
actually had a mattress.
outside?
So that's why I crawled in. But
Holy shit.
but that night the gods or whatever they did not want me to stay there in that house because there was a piece of tin on the roof just banging. So that night I was kind of forced back out into the dirt, and the wind was I was pretty much outside sleeping on the ground, like with blowing ash all over,
Oh,
just
man.
trying to make it through the night.
Yeah. Is it cold? Well, probably not.
It
down
wasn't
there.
too bad.
Yeah.
Because this is the summer. And then the next day I rode to El Salvador, and I got very bad heat exhaustion.
Oh. Yeah.
So, I mean, I was throwing up and diarrhea, and I mean, really bad.
Yeah.
I tried to ride 100 miles that day, and it was a stupid idea because
Damn.
it was over 100 degrees down by the beach.
Oh
So
yeah.
I rode from the high volcanoes at like 6,000 feet all the way down to the beach.
The sea level, right? So, throughout any of this time, are you like, dude, this was a mistake, or are you just like, you know that it's going to be amazing, so you're just like suffering through it?
It was never like a mistake.
Right. Yeah, but like never
just
even
is.
like it is what it is. Like this sucks, but it's worth it.
Day by day. Yeah.
Yeah.
You wake up and it's a new sunrise and you keep going.
Yeah.
Like that's why I love the way of life so much.
Yeah.
So much. it really helps you embrace impermanence of everything.
Damn.
And I think that's why, people get sentimental when they get older. They get more sentimental because they realize more the impermanence of everything. So, when you're living your life like that, in constant realization of that, you can really, really appreciate your life a lot.
Damn, what an amazing outlook.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is
Um,
really cool. That is a really cool way to think of it.
yeah.
I'll be thinking about that for a while. Like that's gonna resonate. I will. I'll be thinking about that for a while.
So from Panama, the Panama Canal, there's the Darien Gap.
That I was gonna ask you.
That's the
That was next.
famous challenge to get from North America to South America.
So I was talking to my friend. I don't want to cut you off,
No,
but
no.
I said, yeah, he went and I think he got
He
a
said, "What
boat.
about Darien? What about Darien?" That's what
So
everybody says. How
yeah,
about that Darien?
but I was like, I think he took a boat and then he went and then he got going and then was like on foot. I was like, my question is like, have you ever heard of the Darien Gap? He's like, no. Like, you never heard it? And he's like, no, I never heard of it. I was like, dude, this is like the most treacherous shit. It's like the most scariest place on the planet. You can't get through there. Like, you can't go. And he's like, well, why not? And I was like, there's like poisonous snakes and spiders and people smuggling people and all this crazy shit. Like, you want to go through there, you got to pay off the cartel. You got to have a couple $1,000s. They're going to kill you. They might kill you anyways and skin you. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to ask this dude about the Darien Gap because there's only one way. You had to go this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have.
If I didn't have my damn ball and chain being my bike,
yeah, the
I
820.
might have went for it. To be honest.
Okay, so you skip.
You would have to get like some private chauffeur, police, army, something like that, and hire them and
To get you through the Darien Gap.
You'd want to cross by the northern coast. That's kind of the way you do it. You hire private security and you cross through the northern coast. I know that because I follow a girl who's currently walking from the bottom of South America all the way up to the top of Alaska.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That is a hell of a trip. Yeah.
So she walked to the Darien Gap with a private chauffeur.
Yeah, so you hire in like private security to get you through this thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what did you do?
Me, I got a plane.
You got a plane?
Yeah, I got a plane. I went from Panama to Cartagena, so it added up some miles on my trip, and it cost me way too much to put my bike and everything I had in the plane. But
so what kind of plane is this? Like a little,
just
like a Cessna?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how'd
like
you
that.
acquire this thing?
No, I didn't. This is just commercial flight.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I didn't know if you found like a guy down there and you're like, hey, guy.
Who is this guy?
Yeah, like, hey, let's borrow that plane, huh, pal?
Dude. I mean, there's a guy, the only other kayaker I met in 1,700 miles of U.S. waterway.
Uh-huh.
There was only one other kayaker I met the whole time. He was a guy, Arnaud. He had started at the top of Canada, kite sledded and dog skied for 8,000 miles with highs of -40 every day through the northern Arctic, rode his bike to the mouth or the very source of the Mississippi, and then did a source to sea of the Mississippi. So I met him on that. And
Damn.
He's actually currently finishing right now at the bottom of South America. He's starting his last stage. So,
wow.
I mean, he rode a horse, kayaked through the Amazon, everything like that.
Doing it.
And when you start things like I'm doing, you think maybe I'm the biggest, baddest person.
Yeah.
Or this is the biggest thing ever. But the labyrinth is deep, man. I met a guy in Peru who's ridden his bicycle 120,000 miles. Like, that's around the circumference of the planet 5 times.
Yeah.
And you get to the point. Oh, I looked at him. I had this like boyish wonder. Like, wow, dude, you rode your bicycle 120,000 miles. You are the coolest person ever. I'm so envious of you. And he looked at me with this look of pain in his eye, and he just said, it's just the decision. It's just a decision. So as I continue and as I envision just as big or bigger trips.
Yeah. It's just the
I
decision.
feel the amount of sacrifice that these trips entail. Like,
Ye-
you are giving up everything. You're giving up, I mean, to chase these trips, it takes full dedication.
100%.
It's,
That's got to be so challenging.
yeah, you know, and it's very challenging with love.
Right.
I've had my fair struggles with that.
Yeah.
Like, and it's a common thread, I think, with a lot of people that do this stuff. It's an interesting dynamic. Like this guy who had ridden his bike around the world for 120,000 miles. You know, he rode his bicycle for the first 7 years with his girlfriend,
Oh.
and then she said, "I'm done riding,"
And he's
and he
like,
said,
I
"I'll
can't
see
do
you
it.
later."
No shit.
You sacrifice everything when you do these things.
Right.
That's just how it is. That's just how it is. If you're gonna live that lifestyle, you gotta pick and choose. You know.
Yeah. That's got to be a
And
very difficult thing.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think people make bigger sacrifices without even thinking about it a lot of the time. The way that our normal society and structure is set up, there are some big decisions that we make in our life that are just kind of more normal,
Yeah.
but
What
it entails a massive sacrifice.
like what do you think? Like what would you consider something like that in the norm?
I mean, getting a dog.
Yeah. Seriously,
Like,
yeah. Yeah. Okay.
then you bring in kids or something like that. The amount of middle-aged men that look at me, that I've met, especially during my journey, like, they're like, "Holy shit, you got some balls on you,"
Yeah, right.
and they're also very envious of the life that I've chosen,
Sure. Yeah. I
and
understand that. I
and it's very easy to be envious of. They haven't seen all those nights, like, where I was in the fetal position, getting ash all blown all over me all night, and,
yeah, of course.
pooping myself in the shower the next day from heat exhaustion.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Right,
they don't
100%.
see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and I understand that. Like
But I look at them and I say, do you have a family? And like, yeah, I have a wife and two kids or something like this. I'm like, well, you're on a way bigger journey than I ever
you're right.
have hopped on.
Sure. Yeah. And it goes back to that old saying of like most men live in quiet desperation. Have you ever heard that?
Yes.
Yeah, and so it's like, damn, man, you got a lot of these, like you're saying, middle-aged guys, and like I deal with the same thing. A lot of guys will look at me and say, "Oh man, you must have it made. You can do whatever, and you don't have anything tying you down." And yes, to an extent, that is sort of true. But just like you're saying, they've never seen the hard shit either. They don't. Just like I've never seen the hard shit in their life, but like it's not always what it looks like on the surface. You know what I mean? And so, but going back to like, do you have a family? Do you have kids? Do you have a wife? And all these great things that you have going for you. They're just different. They're different journeys. They're different. It's a whole different animal. It's not even the same ballpark. And so, but it makes me think about that.
These are I think in my outlook, these are very advanced journeys.
Yes.
These demand just as much, if not more, commitment than me going around the world. Something like this, but it's so different. It's hard to compare the two.
It is, yeah. But it is interesting thinking of that saying, the quiet desperation of men, and then them looking at somebody like you and like, damn, this guy is doing it. This guy is living my dream. And it's like, well, yeah, do it. I don't know. I'm that guy that's like.
There's a quote by George Megan. He has done the world's largest walk. He walked over 19,000 miles from the bottom of Canada. From the bottom of Argentina all the way up around through Washington, D.C., met with the president, and then all the way up to the north of Alaska.
Damn.
So he walked for 12 years, something like that. And upon his completion, he said, the hardest thing for a man to bear spiritually is to never have lived one's dream.
Oh,
And now I can say with a heavy heart, the next hardest thing is to already have lived one's dream.
I was gonna say that's
Yeah.
gotta be a
So,
very difficult thing to deal with.
yeah.
Yeah, and even for you, like, uh, although my dream was much smaller, but like I had a so
It's all relative.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So when a little backstory here, when I was like 19, I bought my very first Harley.
Let's go.
I bought a Sportster, dude. No brothers, you know. So I buy this Harley, and I remember thinking, and it's a small bike. It's a little bitty bastard, you know. And I just remember thinking, like, I would love to ride this bike out west. How cool that would be. And then, like, as you know, as I had the bike for a while, I chopped it all up and stuff, and made it look cool. And it's like, this isn't the bike that you would ever do that with. Well, then, as I got a little bit older, I buy the Harley I have now. It's like the big bagger.
I saw it out there.
Yeah, yeah. So like I've got this bike now, and I bought it on a whim actually. I hadn't planned on buying a bike that day, but at the time a guy was like, "Hey, I got this bike for sale. You know, you want to buy it?" So yeah, fuck, let's get it. You know, so I buy this thing, and I'd done some work to it and stuff, and then I got it where I wanted it. And I remember one night I was looking at it, and it just came back to me like a ton of bricks, like the old Sportster I had. It's like, remember that dream you had, buddy? You got the bike. What are you doing? And I just remember thinking like, and I explained it to my dad. My dad also has a Harley and stuff, and he knows how my brain works. But I told him, I was like, it was like a drum in my head. It was just like kind of quiet and in the background. And then over the years, it had gotten louder, and it got to the point where I was like, man, what are you doing? Like, why aren't you doing this? You got the bike that you said you needed.
Mm-hmm.
You got the free time. You got the money. Like, what are you doing? Why aren't you going? And I had decided it was early in the year that year that I'm going. And as small of a trip as that was, especially like compared to your stuff, you know, but like for me, I was like, damn, like this has to be done. This has to be done. And so I did everything I could. I prepped the bike, you know, and I planned out about where I was going to go and all this stuff. And it come time to where I was going to leave, and I was going to leave in like 2 weeks. And I went and seen my dad. I was smiling great big, and he's like, what are you so happy about? I was like, I'm leaving. He's like, yeah, I know you're leaving in like 2 weeks. I was like, no, I'm leaving tomorrow. He's like, really? I'm like, I gotta go, dude. What's the point? It was 2 weeks. I don't give a shit. I'm going tomorrow. So I ride this thing out west, you know, and I did it over 2 weeks time. So I go in, and I just, wherever I end up, I stay in hotel or camp or whatever. And I come back, and I remember when I came back, I cried. I'm on like 74 and didn't really ride the interstates there, but I was ready to come home. And I'm coming back, and I was crying. I was like, you know, because I'm so happy that I did it. But
Mm-hmm.
also in the same breath, that was my dream, you know, that I wanted to do. And I lived it. It's over. You can't do it again. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
can't repeat the first time you do this. And so I understand the feeling of that, of like almost a deep remorse of like just guttural pain of like it's over. And it's such a weird feeling. And I think a lot of people don't get that. And that's, you know, that's a tough thing to see in anybody, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, and
And when
I bet that you would have similar feelings on these trips that you're on.
you're doing these trips, you got all these wonderful natural uh, um, things coursing to your body. Your testosterone, your
Yeah.
endorphins. You are on a natural high. Ups
Yeah.
and down, everything like this. Um, yeah.
It's yeah. So like I'm like do you ever deal with that too? Like when you're coming back, are you like, damn, it's over? Like do you feel that?
Um, I think you just kind of get somber because you've had these things
Sure.
running through your system. That's where I was going to go with it. Your endorphins, your testosterone, but then you're just left without it.
Yeah.
And then say like me at the end of my trip from Indiana to Patagonia, it was the start of the pandemic. I was quarantined in the basement with my girlfriend who I freaking hated at the time.
Oh shit.
Like I
Yeah.
was I went off the deep end there, dude.
Yeah.
It was a heck of a homecoming for me.
Damn. Yeah.
You know, there was
Right.
no like glory in going out and doing press conferences and everything like this. No, there was just getting privately demonized within my relationship.
Yeah. And then
So,
dealing with that shit all by yourself and like,
yeah, and just
yeah.
going through all these, yeah, the withdrawal
Right.
of that dream.
Yes. Damn, that
So,
had to have been difficult. That had to have been
um,
more difficult than the trip for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
mm, yeah, yeah, um, yeah. For me, I guess we're gonna be hopping around with this trip for a bit,
That's okay. I got
but to
time.
stay chronological is a bit hard. But if we're on the end of the trip, you know, like I said, I was so down. I was so down, and that's how life is, dude. You go the highs and I got the lows.
Yeah.
And I believe it was Gandhi. He said the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in others. So it's interesting how uh, sometimes the world can call you different places. So yeah, that was at the start of the pandemic. I had done some fundraising for Venezuelan refugees when I was riding my bicycle through Colombia and Ecuador. I met thousands of Venezuelan refugees, moms walking their babies in strollers through the Andes Mountains with nowhere to go,
Oh
no
shit.
food to eat. And I would just give them, money for a night and a meal and move along. And I did that with dozens and dozens and dozens of groups of people. And I would take in money on PayPal, do the whole this is where your money went selfie with them. And
Sure. Are you doing this like on the internet then?
hmm
Yeah. So you're like, this is my trip. Follow me. Throw some
yeah,
cash
and
at
I
these
would
people.
give them a little sticker to remember me, the Venezuelans.
Yeah.
They hit 17 million% hyperinflation. It's hard to imagine that. I
Yeah.
mean, you're talking a wheelbarrow of money will get you a hot dog there.
Damn. Yeah.
um, at this time, 5 million refugees outside of Venezuela. And when the pandemic hit, they were met with extreme xenophobia, racism, hatred. With so many refugees, you're going to become parasitic on any society. And that's one of the sad things about it. We're witnessing it at our southern border right now.
Sure.
And it's not a situation that deserves immense compassion, not hatred.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um, so, yeah, a lot of these Venezuelans were forced back up to Venezuela, and that's when they reached out to me. I was in the depths of despair, dude. I was psychotic. And then these people without food to eat reached out to me for help. And I did an Instagram story and did like a before and after. This is them to raise money. I did like before and after. This is them with a Christmas meal I started with. I gave a bunch of families a Christmas meal.
Yeah.
And I made a video about it. And then that turned into me raising $27,000 through Instagram stories,
Damn.
100% to Venezuela.
No shit. That's awesome.
And I completely lost myself in others. And it
Yeah.
was such a healing journey for me, man.
100%.
I just needed to stop focusing on my drama and freaking
Shelf this shit and let's deal with this. Yeah.
Exactly. So,
It's funny. So I was, I told you earlier I was riding that Peloton, and I did the little Moab, Utah thing ride. So like, you're riding and it shows like the thing and like the backdrop or whatever, and it
yes.
shows you
Peloton is a stationary bike. So
yeah,
everybody knows.
yeah, a little like just a little workout bike. So it shows like the landscape or whatever, and it shows you moving on the road, and then you got like the guy that's telling you about it and all that shit. But he said something that was really cool, and it's the same thing that you're saying. So it's pretty cool that I guess I can hear the story from you, and I just heard this an hour before you got here. But he said it's not the next hill that you ride up that stops you. It's the little grain of sand in your shoe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yep.
like, you know what I mean? And like, that's exactly what you're saying. It's exactly that. Like, you have a big mountain of a problem right here. And not to diminish any of your problems, but compared to, a bazillion refugees that can't eat, probably whatever you're dealing with ain't as bad as this. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
and then you get to lose
Just
yourself.
different.
Yes, yeah, but you get
I
to
mean,
lose yourself in helping all these people, and then it helps bring your morale up and helps you get out of, tough times, or helps you deal with them or
yeah,
process
man.
it.
I mean, our generation, our country is in a crisis of meeting.
Yes.
And that's a crazy thing when we have 180 million refugees in the world.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like there's a lot to be found out there, people.
Yeah, no
There's a
doubt.
lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot, and we are so blessed to be able to create that
Yeah.
meaning.
Yeah.
Like, so.
And where I can kind of find some common ground even with that, of like you doing that thing, you're doing a fundraiser for all these people and posting on stories especially. So like the Christmas thing that I do every year. People
Yeah.
all, it's the same thing. It's, people ask me or I'll hear people talk or whatever, and what's Brandon get out of it? What's the point? And it's like, well, it's not for me. But if you were going to pick something that I get out of it, it's that. It's if I was looking at it as a super selfish way, the most selfish way possible, what do I get out of it? It would be that. It's that you get to recharge your emotional battery by helping out all these families, and bringing, even for me, even if they're not in need, even if it's just like, people that did okay this year. Let's bring you out to a big event and let's let everybody have fun. All the kids have fun. Let's just shoot the shit and have a good time. And if you need something, take it. If you want something, take it, whatever. But if you were looking at it in that light, that's what I get out of it. Like it recharges that emotional battery and allows you to take your problems and all your bullshit that you're dealing with, shove it off to the side, and let's focus on something here. And it helps you. It does. So I think that that's really profound, and I hope that anyone listening can maybe take something from that if you need it, but it's really, really good.
And I'm going to say it's like a step ladder. It's hard. It's an act of courage. It's an act of courage to write. It's an act of courage to help people. It's an act of courage to go around the world.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it can be developed at any point. And it's very cool how, say you go into that journey into the unknown, and then you come out with more courage to help others.
Sure.
And
yeah.
to be able to not lose yourself.
Right.
And then you can do that. You do that until it breaks again.
Yeah.
Again. So if you can keep on journeying, keep on finding these new goals for yourself and everything, the fountain of youth is there.
Right. All right. So I don't want to lose track though of your awesome expedition. So all right. So back to this. All right. So where are we now? We're south.
Hey, we are riding my bike through.
All right. So we're riding the Trek 820.
South America.
So we're on the 820 going through South America. Are we at northern South America still?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So we're just south of the Darien Gap.
Yep. And I was going crazy because I was almost freaking getting hit by cars every day, and I had getting parasites. I had really bad parasites.
Oh shit! Are you by yourself at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're just riding your bike
Yeah.
by yourself. You have music at
I was
least?
riding. No.
No music. Damn.
Oh man.
Just
You
out
get
here.
Picked off.
Just out there raw dogging this fucking bike
Dude.
trip.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was going through some dark times there in Ecuador. I rode all the way down to Cuenca, Ecuador, and I was on the last of my line. I had been like pretty much going to the toilet way too many times, really bad diarrhea every day for like
Dehydrated?
over 2 weeks.
Damn,
Like-
dehydrated bad then probably.
Yeah, I had some, I think it was cuy, guinea pig, that I had with a wonderful family in Ecuador. That's a little specialty down there. Is the
Is that
guinea
right?
pig. Yes.
Really?
Yeah. You
Damn.
feel like a guinea pig nibbling on guinea pig ribs.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
you know?
I've eaten squirrel. Have you
I
had
even
squirrel?
ate the head and everything.
You did?
Yeah, they got a little chunk of meat right between their eyes.
Do you eat the brain?
No, I didn't do that. But yeah, I ended up getting some parasites there in Ecuador, and I showed up and I went to the hospital and I was like, "Get these demons out of me!"
Oh, so
Because
you're fucked. Like,
oh, I was bad, dude. I was bad, and it wasn't only that, but right after I got there, I was starting a 10-day meditation retreat. So Vipassana meditation retreat. There was nothing that could have been better for me at the time. Vipassana meditation has saved my life.
so what is that? Can you explain that?
So Vipassana meditation
Yeah.
is uh, a meditation that involves no mental fabrication. It is perhaps one of the only truly pure meditations. There is no outer object of focus, whether it be an object or a higher being. There is no mantra. There is no um, um, inner direction, 1, 2, in, out, anything like this. It is purely your breath and sensations in your body.
Okay.
So,
And how do you go about doing this?
in Vipassana, you in a 10-day course, you pretty much work part by part, starting with just the insides of your nostrils, and you focus on your say your breath,
Uh-huh.
and then your mind goes,
Okay.
and then you're like, oh crap, I lost my mind,
Yeah, okay.
and you got to come back to that focus on the breath with no craving or aversion. So this is what we react to these sensations with in our body. This light bulb right now, it's flickering 12,000 times a second, or however many times a
Sure.
second.
Yeah.
Same with all these atoms in our body. We are energy. We are energy. So it's like, through this technique, I mean, I've felt tens of thousands of microchemical reactions inside and outside, toes to head, inside. You would never guess that's going on, but that's what we are, vibrations. So you begin to really, feel it.
Yeah,
Feel it.
okay.
So in Vipassana, you have these sensations that is emitted by these vibrations,
Yeah.
and you react with craving or aversion.
Okay.
But if you're viewing that sensation objectively, you're not automatically reacting with I want more or I want less. You can just observe it. And then through wisdom, you know it's impermanent and it's not worth getting worked up about.
Damn, so I could see how that would
And
help
the
you.
earlier down that tunnel that you can realize and have more self-control. For addicts, for anybody, it's
Sure.
just a great inner path. So I'm so blessed that I found the outside world as a natural tool
Yeah.
to cultivate myself, and I found Vipassana following a very bad brain injury, and this saved my life. And this is where I found the internal route of discovery. So both very valuable things and free to us all.
Yeah.
You don't need to go to any hippie guru $5,000 week-long retreat in San Obispo, California, or something like this.
Right.
These Vipassana centers, there's hundreds of them throughout the world. They offer 10-day donation-based, so free of charge courses where people can go live as monks for 10 days off of the donations of others.
Wow.
It's spread hundreds of centers through so many countries throughout the whole world, and it's all donation based.
And this is what you found on when you're on your bike? Is that right?
This was my third sit I did in Ecuador.
Oh, okay.
I was already I already knew about the technique.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes.
So you're in
We would have to
Ecuador on.
go backtrack to my brain injury at some point, but
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about that. We can talk about that.
okay.
What happened?
We are at Ecuador on my big trip, but this is all a big motivation as well for all these travels. Is I mean, for the big trips, I started doing big trips after I had a diffuse axonal brain injury. So I've got a little newspaper article. I've been in a lot of newspaper articles, but this one is the first one, the OG.
All right.
Drunk tourist driver left with severe brain injury. So, pretty much what it sounds like. I was shit-faced. I got in a car accident.
Is this here?
Thank everything. This was in New Zealand at the time. I was working as a kayaking guide in New Zealand.
Oh shit. Okay.
At this time.
Okay.
So, yeah, I ended up. This was 2014.
Okay.
So a decade ago.
Sure.
And then I ended up getting way too drunk and crashed my car on the ride home, which is
Okay.
crazy because I lived on some treacherous roads. This is the west coast of New Zealand, the most rugged rugged part of New Zealand. So,
Yeah.
I'm blessed that nobody else was involved, but I won a diffuse axonal brain injury.
Yeah. All right.
So that's pretty much 90%. It's characterized by the fact 90% of people are in a coma for their entire life.
Oh shit.
That have a diffuse axonal. So, I had a record-breaking recovery. I owe my life to my physical fitness. I was in peak physical shape when I got in this accident. I had been training for months and months and months for a boxing match I had. I fought an amazing main event boxing match, and my cousin was my corner man, and it was such a good night.
Yeah.
I won the fight.
Hell yeah.
Peak of my life, and like I said, big crash down, right? Like we mentioned earlier.
Like right after?
After 2 weeks after, probably.
Damn.
Then I crashed and burned, and I ended up, it was 2, 3 in the morning during a monsoon on the west coast of New Zealand. I wasn't wearing a seat belt, so
Oh shit.
I pretty much bashed against the windshield and then head first nestled down into the passenger footwell,
Yeah.
and rumbled like head first from like 60 to 0
Oh shit.
along an embankment on the side of the road.
Damn.
So, I was like a contortionist in the seats. Some friends found me just out there. Luckily, they were drunk driving behind me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had to get cut out of the car. I had to get driven to the hospital 3 hours and then helicoptered across the South Island. That's when I got induced into a coma. So I say induced into a coma. I didn't get knocked into the coma. This is where I owe my life, not to just a physical injury. Physical fitness. I owe my life also, I think, my theory, to boxing. So I had always been a boxer for maybe 6, 8 years before that. I'd taken thousands of hits to the head, and I could keep going.
Yeah.
So when I got in that minute where I got the ultimate hit to the head, I didn't get knocked straight into that coma.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
So I had to be, because my brain was going to pop inside my skull, so they had to put me into a coma.
Oh shit. Yeah. Okay.
And because I was just a wacko. So yeah, I spent a little bit over 2 weeks in the hospital, and I shattered rehab records and got out of there in 2 weeks, and then that's when I started the big personal expeditions after.
Do you think any of it was because of the brain injury? Did you feel different after you got out of that?
Well, I
Just
mean,
more alive, or
especially if you got a big frontal lobe injury. I mean, I had freaking bashed that windshield
yeah.
with my head. Um, s- uh, there's some superpowers and sensitivities that have been developed since that.
Okay.
So you think, like, I couldn't multitask at all. You think looking at you and talking to you
Yeah.
and hearing this refrigerator?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was like overwhelming for me.
This would have been before.
This was after the brain injury.
Right. Okay.
So
Right after.
directly after.
Yeah.
That was so overwhelming.
Really.
And then I would get pissed at you and tell you to shut up, and then
Yeah.
you'd leave for 5 minutes, and then you'd come back in the room, and I'd be like, "Hey, dude, good to see you. Where you been? I haven't seen you today." You know,
Damn.
I wouldn't even remember.
Yeah.
So, but I really learned I'm not a good multitasker,
Yeah.
and I really learned to respect that. I
Yeah.
don't think anybody's a good multitasker. You hear it? You listening, women? I always say it's like saying I'm a good drunk driver.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I respect. I
Yeah.
I like
understand,
not
yeah.
worrying about multitasking. I try to focus on monotasking more.
Yeah.
And when you have big frontal lobe injuries, it really makes it a little bit anxiety inducing to really think about the past, or it's
Right.
hard to think about the past and future. You're kind of like a little bit cased into the present moment, which, I mean, you think it's so good. Everybody wants to live in the present moment, but it's also kind of anxiety inducing when you can't really imagine the future, and when you're in the present moment, sometimes you're not really living for that future as much. So
Sure.
you're
Yeah.
a bit more compulsive.
Yeah.
So I've definitely had, I come from a family of alcoholics and everything like that. So
Yeah.
that's been a sensitive thing for
Okay.
me. That's why I mostly gotta stay away from alcohol.
Yeah.
Um,
So, well, and I do too, but so I know that frontal lobe injuries, especially, are super impactful on compulsive decisions. Do you know this? Yeah.
well, it's thinking of, you're
Yeah,
operating
so-
in the moment. So
Yeah.
you're
So a lot of people that
immediate
have
gratification.
Yeah, a lot of people that have suffered from like concussions and things like that, they are typically very impulsive people. I
Yeah.
also had a few concussions, pretty gnarly ones at a pretty young age. So like when your frontal lobe is developing, like especially in men, they say your frontal lobe's not developed till you're like 26.
Mm-hmm.
So and any kind of injury up until that point is somewhat severely detrimental to any male. I don't know about
Well,
the
I was
females.
24 at the time, so I'm effed.
Yeah. It's over, dude. You blew it. You blew it. Yeah, and so like I know for me, one, I mean, I'm a pretty rational thinker, but I can also be very impulsive. And I've wondered before if it's due to any of these types of concussions, and like I guess where I'm going with that is, after a brain injury like that, could you tell any type of difference? Like, were you more compulsive or impulsive, I guess, after that, or was there not much of a difference on something like that?
I was me.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I more had to learn about myself to
Sure.
recognize my own impulsivity. At that time in my life, I was 23, and
Yeah, just trying to
I
figure. You're a
was
dumb
pretty
kid.
happy with being a party boy.
Right, right. You're a dumb.
So-
Every 23-year. Listen, if you're a 23-year-old dude on here listening right now, you don't know shit, buddy. I know you think you do. Oh, I was there. So was he. No, you don't. You'll understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would like to say the wisdom came from that brain injury, but I still had to
You probably
live
had
my
to put in
life
a
and
lot of
learn my
work.
lessons.
Yeah,
time
I'm
and
sure
time
you have
again.
a mountain of work to do and shit on, at anyone, at
Yeah.
23, you got to figure out who you are and what you're doing, and you got to fuck everything up at least 100 times. I've done it,
Yeah.
I fuck up everything I ever touch 100 times before it ever even thinks about working. So
Yeah.
I get it.
So
Yeah.
after rehab, I ended up going all over New Zealand to family friends who would just host me for a week or two, and I ended up uh, moving up to a friend's sailboat up in the North Island, up in the Bay of Islands. I lived in a broken down sailboat for maybe a month with my buddy Jared.
You and Jared in a
Oh
sailboat.
man, dude, we had such a good time. We had such a good time on that trip, on that ship. There wasn't much to do,
Yeah, I bet not. Yeah.
you know.
Right. Yeah. What
But
you
it
gonna
was
do?
in a beautiful bay.
Yeah.
But we got a little bit stir crazy, and
Of course.
he had a girl come see him who I was transparent about some of these panic attacks that I was having
Yeah. Okay.
after the brain injury. I would kind of just look at my head, and it was like a thundercloud, and it would like rumbling with electricity, and then it would kind of like shock down through my body. It would like kind of send a shock all the way down, and sometimes at night I would develop so much aversion to this cloud that could strike at any moment that I became crippled in fear, and I could barely breathe, and I was like crippled like this for
Oh
sometimes
shit! Yeah.
sometimes over an hour. And I told this girl about that. She introduced me to Vipassana.
Gotcha. So is this your first
And she
time?
took me on the bow of the boat in 2014 and introduced me to Vipassana and told me, hey, there's a center here in Auckland. You can register for a course. So I registered for a course right there, but I still had like a month before the course. So it was time to challenge myself. I walked from where I was in Whangarei, and I walked a couple 100 miles to the very north tip of New Zealand. So that was my biggest solo expedition at this point.
Right.
And it was through one of the craziest monsoons in 20 years.
Of course. Naturally.
It was insane.
Yeah.
But in the Vipassana after that trip, I learned to look at these sensations in my brain objectively, to not stress out about it, and they would always pass. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. It always passes. The impermanence is real.
Yeah.
So there was no point in getting worked up about it, and I could just exist with it in there, and it would go.
It was okay.
And that's the whole kind of theory behind the whole technique. So
Damn, that's amazing though.
Yeah.
And that's powerful.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's been a lifesaver for me.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, back to your trip then. So
Yeah.
we're on the 820, and now we're doing the your meditation here.
Yes.
Right.
So, and then I did ayahuasca, and then
You did.
right after the meditation, turns out for 10 days, silent. In these 10-day courses, you can't talk, write, read, masturbate,
Nothing.
nothing.
Right.
Nothing. And like even reading the ingredients bottle on this can of soda, it's like, no, you can't distract your mind like that. You know,
Damn.
you're focusing on meditating for 12 hours a day. And
Wow.
there's plenty to focus on.
No shit. I bet
You're
that'll
actually exhausted after you do it.
I don't
People
doubt
are
it.
Like, you don't do anything all day? Like, oh, you're
you're
so
doing
busy.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, sitting right next to me was the most well-known shaman in the whole area. His name was Salvador. And on the last day, I was sharing when we could talk to these table that we had been sitting with for 10 days. We could finally talk on the 10th day. So I said, hey, I'm looking forward to continuing my healing journey and trying the one of the oldest medicines on the planet.
Yeah.
And ayahuasca, which is, if you don't know, ayahuasca is a vine found deep in the Amazon. Ayahuasca and all plants have small amounts of DMT.
Oh yeah.
DMT in it, so you can extract the DMT from that ayahuasca vine.
Yeah. Which, for those of you who don't know, DMT is actually in your body to begin
Yes.
with. Yeah.
It's known as like the world's strongest hallucinogen.
Yeah. It's what
It's
dimethyl
naturally
tryptamine, I
produced
think.
in your dreams and before when you die.
Right.
So
It's funny you bring
It's
this up
mixed.
because I was going to ask you if you did
Mixed.
ayahuasca.
It's mixed with a plant called chacruna.
Yeah.
Chacruna is the DMT inhibitor. So if you've smoked like DMT, normally it would last like 15 minutes. But with chacruna mixed in, the inhibitor, it draws it out for hours.
Oh, I didn't
Hours.
realize that this is an hour plus long
Oh
operation.
yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha. Because when you
Ayahuasca
smoke
trips
DMT, it's not. It's like a five,
no.
10 minute deal.
Ayahuasca trips are all night long. Usually about 10 or 11 to 3,
Damn.
something like this.
Okay.
So, Salvador invited me back to his teepee in his backyard. For him, I mean, the 10 days away from ayahuasca was the longest he had been away from ayahuasca in his life.
Really?
So it was a big celebration when we
Yeah.
finished. He had all of his like friends who were also well-respected shamans. He had his wife who actually they conceived their baby on ayahuasca, which is crazy.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Getting into some real hippie shit here. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But and then it was just like 8 people. Some ayahuasca ceremonies will have 200 people. That's ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I didn't know
But
that.
this is a small ceremony with about 8 people. It's all donation based as well. So off of Donna, you don't pay. You just give whatever
Yeah.
you would like, which is a very pure way of doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I did this.
So how it's in a cup, right? And you drink it. Is that
Well, yeah, we had the fire in the middle of the teepee.
right? Yep.
First, we went around, said our intentions,
Okay.
which I thought was very cool.
Yeah.
And then he put liquid tobacco into everybody's hands, and we all snorted it up.
Really?
Snorted this like liquid tobacco, and as you can imagine, like it just put us back. It put me back on the cushion. So we all had cushions that we could lay down on, and that just really puts you back and
Like eased, like
lets you
at
like
peace?
just lie down. Like you don't want to really sit up. You just lie down.
Okay.
And I slowly transitioned that lying down. I just completely diluted. My whole hands like turned into like spinning helicopters almost, and I came out the other side feeling unfiltered. And I just say that because I didn't have. This is the second time I ever felt unfiltered in my life. The first time was after my first Vipassana.
Okay.
So unfiltered, there's no negative, there's no like judgment.
Yeah.
There's no like not even really thought. It's just so much love, outpouring love, outpouring love. Once you filter everything away, humans are really good on
Right.
the inside. And this allowed me to kind of see that. I think there can be more of a view from people that humans are inherently savages.
Yeah.
But that's inherently situational.
100%. Yeah. I think most people are good.
Exactly.
I really do.
That's
And it goes
inherently
back to
situational.
yeah,
Yes.
it goes back to like the media thing. You know, I think, like I said, I think most people are really good people. I've always met good people, always, and pretty much every area, all walks of life, rich, poor. I've always met pretty good people.
Yeah.
And I really believe that. Maybe it's a little bit of delusion, but I don't think so. I really think most people are good. Yeah. So I'm sure that so at this point, when you feel this release and unfiltered, whatever, have you done the ayahuasca yet? Or is this just,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Sorry, we drank the ayahuasca after
The tobacco
after the
thing.
tobacco.
Gotcha. Okay.
And yeah. Sorry, I gotta give this.
Oh, you're good, man.
But anyways, I felt so good after that. There was this very flamboyant fella who was kind of pissing me off before.
Uh-huh.
Like when we were starting to drink the ayahuasca, he was talking about like bad trips that he
shit.
had or something like this. And I'm like
What are
trying to take it so seriously. And
Yeah,
I'm
you-
like
what are
getting
you-
frustrated with him.
Yeah.
And man, once everything kicked in, I was so full of like I didn't mind. I thought he was wonderful.
Really?
I thought it
Yeah.
was wonderful.
This guy's all right.
I ended up actually I took it upon I went across and talked to him for a bit. Turns out he had done ayahuasca thousands of
Oh,
times.
got ya.
Like like I said, the labyrinth is deep with expedition. You know, you meet
Um,
people that have done a lot of expeditions.
yeah.
Yeah, you meet a lot of people that have done a lot of ayahuasca too.
Damn, yeah.
And I tell you what, I'm a fan of is the real trip. Um, I think that this drug-induced awakenings that a lot of people our age are having are false and produce more of a narcissistic type of awakening. I think our Western type of awakening is integrating the collective into yourself, going on these big vulnerable missions and making yourself vulnerable to
Yeah.
people. It's not going into the it's different. It's different. We're
Yeah.
not trying our awakening is integration, not uh, necessarily individuation.
That makes sense. Yeah. So, how do you think that, I guess like with ayahuasca, do you, like this guy that had done it all these times, did he seem more at peace or more awakened or
Dude, when we were like in the middle of our experience,
yeah.
he came through with these songs. He started singing these songs. I couldn't repeat them, but I mean, just so powerful about the sacredness of life, the path we're all on, everything like this. I mean, that guy was a fountain of his own type of wisdom, you
Wow.
know.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was a he was an interesting guy.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the time, I was actually like staying with a guy who was even crazier. I met him at the ayahuasca retreat. This guy, oh my gosh, he like is working on designing submarines to explore the depths of the ocean, and he like I'm telling you, I'm getting on a weird side thing
That's all
here.
right. Yeah.
There's a guy who was attending that Vipassana retreat,
Yeah.
who had been living in the area for years, interviewing young people like us
Sure.
who come down and do ayahuasca. He would interview them before and after, and he had done this with hundreds and thousands like of people just watching them come through. He worked with like the most popular ayahuasca retreat, and I stayed with him for 2 weeks after that retreat. Um, and he was amazed when he heard that I ended my ayahuasca trip and everybody started giving me money. I walked out of my first ayahuasca ceremony with $300. So Salvador, not El Salvador,
Yeah.
but Salvador had told everybody to give their donations to me. And I think this is a testament for how much he respected the fact that I had come from the top of the United States
Oh.
to Ecuador
Yeah.
alone
Right.
with myself,
Yeah.
and he saw the real trip. He had immense respect for it, and
I'm
for me
sure.
that was very humbling to receive that,
I'm sure it was. Yeah.
it very much kind of backs up my philosophy that the true awakening lies in these outward pushes of the comfort zone, not going into
Drug
a trip.
induced trip
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I'm not saying it's not completely invaluable, but
Right.
yeah,
So one thing that that's kind of interesting, like you say the awakening, but from the experiences that I've never done DMT or ayahuasca, but I've done a fair amount of research on both of them, and they say there's like an inner death when you do that. almost like a humbling, like an ego death is what they call it.
Yeah.
You know, have
I
you
think
heard?
people have their own
Yeah,
versions of that.
have you heard of this?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I dealt with a long time. Have you ever heard of sleep paralysis, or do you know what it is?
Yes. Explain me your situation.
Yeah. So when you have sleep paralysis, now I'm not 100% sure if you actually wake up, like if your eyes are open, but I think they are. But 100% you're awake, like you know what's going on. So I had sleep paralysis. I've had it since I was probably 17, and I would get it like once a year. Once a year, I'd wake up and you could see around the room whether or not I can actually see it or if I just know it well enough to where I can see it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know if it's like me envisioning it and my eyes are actually closed or if my eyes are open. But I think they're open because you can look around at stuff and like it's like the same as me and you sitting here. Like if I want to look at the door, I can look at the door. It's not like a dream where you don't really have full control. So when I would first get sleep paralysis, I would just wake up and I couldn't breathe and I'd freak out and I'd have like a panic attack and I'd fall back asleep. Well, as time progressed, this would have been probably last year, maybe even the year before. They say that people with sleep paralysis eventually you will have an ego death. And what's really odd, I didn't know this, but people that have sleep paralysis see the same figure when this happens. And I didn't know this until I was telling a friend of mine, and he said, "You need to watch this documentary about this." But what happened was, is I fell asleep one night, and I woke up, and I've had it before enough times to where you can't breathe very well, but and it really freaks you out in the beginning. But as time goes on, you get used to it, and you can just kind of deal with it. But I woke up, and I was looking around, and there was this person in my living room, like you seen where the bedroom was.
That's terrifying.
It very yeah, and the door was open, and I could see into the living room, and there was a figure there, tall figure, and he had a fucking cowboy hat on. It's very odd. And I looked out, and for whatever reason, I didn't think it was somebody in my house, but I knew that there was something there. And they walk into the room, and his head is like fucking sideways, like broken. And then it just like gets really close to me, like right here, and it's like clicking at me. It was the most terrifying thing in the world. I couldn't sleep for months after that. I had I was scared to even lay in bed. And this is all happening, and I can see it, and it wasn't talking to me out loud, but I could I could understand it, and it could understand me. Like we had this. I don't know, like we just both knew, I guess. But it's not a dream. It's like I'm awake, and this thing was saying that you're gonna die, and it was like implying that it was gonna kill me, and I'm like, you can't hurt. Like in my like in this whole thing, I'm totally bluffing, but I was like, you ain't shit. You're not gonna hurt me.
Cowboy.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, fuck you, and that's what I'm thinking. And anyways, I fall asleep and I wake back up, and then after that, terrified to fall asleep for months. Well, I'm telling a friend of mine about this because I was so bothered by it. He said, you need to watch this documentary. So I watch it. And people all throughout the world, like in different countries that don't know each other, I didn't know anything about this. They all see the same figure. So it's like we're connected some way or another, that we all see the same figure. And in this documentary, they say it's an ego death. And after that, I felt different. Like I looked at things a little different. I mean, I wouldn't say I was a better person or a worse person, but things were just different. And it's never happened to me again since. Never. And when I was reading about DMT and ayahuasca, they say that and sleep paralysis are actually super similar in that you have this ego death, and that once that's over with, it's over, and you can almost find peace in yourself somehow or another. I didn't know if maybe you felt that same kind of thing. Sorry to bring a short story long, but I didn't know if maybe you had felt that kind of out with the old and in with the new kind of
Nah.
thing.
I think everything's so impermanent that I think that if I was feeling blessed one moment, that
That was all that.
I'm just as susceptible to feel like shit the next. Like, I think a lot of these moments are,
Right. Yeah.
momentary. The best moments in life are moments.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, so back to your trip. All right.
Yeah. I had a friend get um, hit from behind by a semi
Oh shit.
on his bicycle. He was riding through Peru.
And is he with you during this time?
No, no. We had separated. We just rode together for a day in Colombia. He was so nice. He was a Japanese guy, a school teacher
Oh
who
god.
was so happy and so helpful. Like, oh my God. When I first met him, he like ran up this hill. It must have been at least, over 100 feet, super steep to help me push my bike out of this crazy majestic church on the border of Colombia and Ecuador. There's this amazing church called Las Lajas, and I was trying to escape. I was trying to get out of it, and Fumi helped me, and we met each other. And yeah, I was very sad to hear of his passing.
Yeah, that's terrible. Yeah.
And
What a
it's just every step counts. Every step counts. When you're doing these big trips, and you're on the road, and you're listening to music, that's just one little thing where you might not hear the car going on your side. And when that is combined with a gust of wind, the stars didn't align.
yeah.
You know, you gotta watch your butt on the roads, especially. On the
Yeah.
roads, especially. So that real risk of the roads, I was done with it. I was done with it, and I decided to sell my bike after.
Really.
So after that, I sold the bike, and I just started. I was like, I still want a challenge, so I started hitchhiking. 100% hitchhiking. I hitchhiked for 1,800 miles, as deep as you can go into the Amazon. I rode with truckers were my saviors. I rode with a lot of truckers.
Sure.
We chewed lots of coca leaves, big old mouths of coca leaves out there with the truckers. Sometimes there were two truckers actually in and out of the Amazon. I slept in overnight in the truck with them and everything. We did long haul, like 15-hour trips in and out of the Amazon.
Damn, really.
And I went to one spot, and I got about a week-long barge up the Amazon River. So at the base towns, that's where everybody gets on these big barges that bring raw materials, everything from cows to tractors to fruits to anything that can go into the Amazon. It gets loaded onto these barges, and the people, they live in just shoulder-to-shoulder hammock. So they'll sleep in the hammocks, and then people will go off to their respective villages and along the way
All
up the
on
river.
the barge?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's like how the locals get up and down the river. So I got myself a kayak, I got myself a hammock,
Uh-huh.
and rode for 7 days up the Amazon River with all the locals. And what a cool way
No
to
shit.
experience the Amazon and just hang out with all these people. I met one guy who was our age,
Really?
right next. He was in the hammock right next to me. He was so serene, kind, interested in my story, interesting in everything I had.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
I had so many people, especially in Central America, look at, like, say, my iPhone with, like, oh, an iPhone, oh my gosh, like this, like it's a golden nugget, like it's something that they really want.
Yeah.
But this guy, he looked at it with just curiosity, pure boyish curiosity.
Really?
He had none of that mumble jumbo going on in his head. He was such a nice person, such a good smile. And I remember he came and gave me a hug out of nowhere. And I was just talking to people on the top floor of the boat. And then he left, and then I saw him riding away on this little tiny wooden boat. They look like they got little weed whackers on the back in the Amazon.
Oh,
little
yeah.
long wooden boats with weed whackers in the
Yep.
back. And he was riding away to his little village in the middle of the freaking Amazon. And it was
Really?
just like, I broke into tears
I bet.
right there, because we slept next to each other for 4 days, 5 days.
Yeah.
He was such a I'd never met anything like it, and just had that nature of somebody like that just brought me to tears.
Yeah. And are you
Um,
able to like keep in contact with any of these folks anyway?
no, not him.
No. Yeah, I mean, I guess nothing there for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he don't have an iPhone.
Well,
He's probably not on Facebook.
actually, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised when you're freaking going up and down the Amazon River, and then there's a girl sitting on the side of the sandbank with her smartphone.
Really?
I'm telling you, it's all of these consumer goods, from packaged goods like chips to cell phones. They're just being nommed on by these people that have no collective education on these things. So that's why, you get so many people down there, say parents looking at their phone, scrolling through their phone, dumbing themselves out,
Yeah.
and their baby's crying in the other room. Or you get mountains of trash on the side of the road.
Sure.
These
Yeah.
people just don't, it's just been thrust upon them, all of these goods in our modern age. And it's not because they're bad people that they litter or anything like that.
Right.
They just, one, they don't have infrastructure, and two, it's just they don't know. They don't know any, like,
You don't
I
know
don't
any
know.
different. Right. Yeah.
So it's the same with the cell phone, the same with a lot of other things. A lot of Latin America views, and a lot of the world views America as very grandiose.
Oh, I don't doubt that, brother. I do not doubt that.
So, you get, it's so sad because you get a lot of wonderful people trying to come up here to the United States, and they're leaving a lot of love behind.
Yeah.
And they're chasing the gains of some money out here.
Yeah, things and stuff.
And it's such a weird dichotomy between what's the right way to live.
Yeah, it's
a hard situation.
different.
Yes, it's
just
very
different. Yeah.
very different, because they could exist in their small walls of poverty, but
Right.
when there's so much opportunity.
Yeah. Right.
And
And they're hungry for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a
Man, that had to have been
interesting.
so mind-breaking to understand that as you experience it firsthand like that.
Well, get this. So I went to the middle of the Amazon to link up with my mother. She had flown to the middle of the Amazon to come see what the Amazon was like. She had registered to do an ayahuasca retreat with me.
Holy shit.
My mama. She took a little tactical, like, she took some medication before,
Yeah.
and that kind of disqualified her from being able to take ayahuasca.
Okay.
But still, she was registered in the retreat. And
Yeah.
it was a 3-ceremony retreat, and she was part of each of the ceremonies. She was there with all of us when we drank ayahuasca, and she was there for the whole experience. When the shamans are always playing their icaros, which are little songs, little
Yeah.
like just these small rhythms that you get lost in, and she received a lot of the magic too there.
I bet that had to have been
Very
wild.
interesting experience for
Yeah.
both of us
Right.
to have.
How cool, like what a memory too,
Yeah.
Like you'll never
yeah.
forget that. Never.
Yeah, we've got a little collage at my mom's house of that trip, and it's pretty amazing to be sitting at our house in Indiana,
Right.
and reflecting on that random
Yeah.
moment in time in the Amazon.
Yeah, what a wild
Yeah.
thing to even think about. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then I actually took a speedboat, like a 2-day boat, up
Okay.
to get out. So I took the slow boat in, fast boat out.
Uh-huh. So this would be what? So now you're headed back?
Yep, back out of the Amazon. So I'd gone all the way to the center of the Amazon to Iquitos, which is a freaking crazy town in the middle of the Amazon with almost 500,000 people
Oh, really?
in the middle of the Amazon. It is, you've never seen it anywhere like it. It's insane.
Yeah, I bet.
um,
Right.
so, yeah, I ended up getting out of there and continued hitchhiking. I made it to the border of Chile, got a bus, and then went all the way down to Santiago, Chile, and that's where I started walking to the bottom of South America.
Really?
So
And how long did you walk?
that was 1,000 miles.
Walking?
Yep.
How long did
Yep.
that take?
Probably 5 months.
I was gonna say that had to have been a hell of a trip.
Yep. Well, I did the
Like, did
Pacific.
you burn it? You burn up shoes for this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
right.
went through like 3 or 4 pairs of shoes.
Yeah, 100%.
I had hiked the Pacific Crest Trail before.
Okay.
So this is a 2,700-mile trail from Mexico to Canada.
Oh shit.
So I had walked,
So you want? Yeah, this
but,
ain't nothing new to you then.
well, but this was next level. This is the Greater Patagonian Trail. This was, I mean, there's a few groups that hike it a year, not 3,000 people like the Pacific Crest Trail.
Okay.
So I did that 600 miles of it. I did it with my ex-girlfriend, and she was extremely inexperienced.
Oh shit.
It was not a good idea to have her down.
So how'd that work? Did she fly
went
down
through
there?
some crazy adventures down there.
Did she fly down to you
I
and then
felt
hike this?
incredible amount of responsibility to take care of her.
No doubt.
It was the ultimate test of my guiding skills.
Yeah.
And, you know, the nature was, you've never even imagined some of these scenes like you get in Patagonia. And now I'm so happy that I can kind of like look back and like see that, because I was very lost internally and inside my head and with my relationship stuff at that time, because I was with another person. I had been from the top of the United States down there alone.
And so did she fly down to you to hike this portion with you? So
Yeah.
you're alone all this time, and now you got another person.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and there was already resentments built up and everything.
Oh,
so
sure. Yeah.
It really didn't end up well.
Yeah.
So, she hiked 600 and I hiked 1,000 all the way to the bottom, and then we came back to the pandemic.
Damn. So you flew back from South America home.
Yeah, we had a slow separation after that, and then I kept journeying
going.
pretty much. I moved out to Colorado again.
Yeah.
And started my life just like I did when I was 19. And now for the last 3 years, I've been back and forth between Europe, Central America, and the United States.
Damn, dude. How cool, though.
I met a girl from France.
Okay.
So I met her in Antigua, Guatemala. So there it's great. I mean, there's such a good place. There's so many people from all over the world. It's a hot spot of travelers from all countries, all over the world that come to Antigua. So
yeah,
I met a beautiful French girl in the corner at a cafe, and we've been pretty much running back and forth between each other ever since.
Damn, really?
So, yeah, we did a lot of, well, actually, yeah. I mean, I've been to Europe the last 3 summers, doing various adventures with her.
Hiking and biking.
I guide a trip in Europe with a company that caters to small, group travel for young high school graduates from private schools around the Houston area.
Oh shit. Okay.
So you get like, all these high school graduates that are just ready for the time of their lives traveling across Europe. So
Right.
me and Sarah take them across all over Europe. We went to Budapest and Prague and Amsterdam and Munich and Heidelberg and Interlaken and
Man, how wild.
Yeah.
And then is this the same, like, are these the same kind of trips that you're taking, like when you said that you hiked across, did you ride your bike or you hike across Europe?
I rode a bicycle.
Rode a
across
bicycle.
Europe.
Is this one
So
of those
like
trips?
this last summer, it started like that, paid for my airfare and everything.
Yeah.
It paid for a good chunk of the trip. I guide all these high school boys.
Uh-huh.
And then they booked me a ticket to Western Ireland, or to Ireland.
Yeah.
That's where my bicycle was. I had a bicycle at a friend's house there.
Okay.
And then I rode that thing all the way to Istanbul from there. It took
Damn.
me 100 days exactly.
Really?
So I went through Ireland. I went through France. I went through Switzerland, Germany, Austria, Liechtenstein, Slovenia, Italy, Croatia, North Macedonia, Bosnia.
Is this on a Trek 820?
No, this was, dude, a worst bike.
Oh,
I got this.
We got a Huffy.
It was a beater, $70 Go Sport.
Okay, got
It
us
was
a
like from the
marketplace.
It's like, yeah, I got it from a marketplace in Paris.
Yeah, okay.
And yeah, it cost $70.
I'm gonna ride this bitch all the way.
It looked like a 15-year-old girl's bike. It had a little drop bar and
Oh,
everything like that.
really? Sick.
So, but it had a steel frame and it had a flat rack on the back and a basket in the front. So
Oh yeah, you got all the luggage
Bob's your
room.
uncle. That's all I needed.
Bob's your uncle. That's it.
That's all I needed. And
Yeah, there's a little.
I rode that thing. I rode it from Paris to Ireland first, and then Ireland around.
Yeah, I love
Altogether,
that.
I rode that thing 6,000 miles.
Damn, that is a trek.
Yeah,
Change the oil. on
got
that
my money's
bitch.
worth out of that $70.
No kidding.
And it's crazy. Well, that first stretch from Paris to Ireland, Sarah rode with me for that.
Okay, and this is the girl from France, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
she's
okay.
the Paris girl.
Or,
And
yeah,
then
Paris.
She continued all the way down to Madrid
Okay,
on her
all right.
bike.
Yep.
So then she left her bike in Madrid, so I got my bike in Madrid. In Ireland. She's got her bike in Madrid. We guided that trip for the boys together.
Uh-huh.
She went to her bike, I went to mine. And then we pretty much rode across Europe independently. And then I finished her journey with her from, oh my gosh, great country, Albania
Oh,
to
yeah, okay.
to Greece. I rode to Athens with her. And so that was maybe 1,000 miles, 800 miles together.
Damn.
And then I rode all the way to Istanbul from
Yeah.
there. Finished on my own.
You're like, I got more shit to see.
Yeah.
Sorry, I gotta go.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You gotta be separately, and she doesn't like the mountains and all these challenges that come along with it.
Right.
I don't like the beach and the heat and the money and the people.
Yeah. Right.
So I go to
Yeah.
the mountains.
Yeah.
So it's what will be, and we kind of take it in stride as far as that goes.
Yeah. Dude, I went to, there's a little thing up there, the Connemara National Park. Did you ever go through there? That's in Ireland.
No,
No? It's
maybe I don't know.
yeah, it's a cool little spot, but there's a little pub just outside of that place. And this little pub's like the size of this room in the kitchen, small. And you walk in there, and me and my girlfriend at the time we walk in and totally, in my opinion, we look the same as everybody else, but I'm sure we stuck out like a sore thumb. So we sit down, and one of the guys comes up and they're like, "Hey, you have to go up here to order your food and stuff." Okay, whatever. We go up there, the people of Ireland, like when I say people are inherently good, they're like, well, have you eaten? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, no. Or like, and if you're in Ireland, everywhere shuts down at like 8 o'clock. If it's
Yeah.
after 8, you're not eating. And so they're like, no, we're okay. I'm gonna have a Guinness, So like I drink my
Guinness for dinner.
yeah, I drink my dinner, whatever. And so
Yeah.
I'm drinking my beer, and the guy comes out, and the guy's name's Jerry, and come to find out he owns the joint, and he's like, well, you're not hungry? And I was like, I mean, I could eat. He's like, well, everywhere's closed. You guys gotta get out of here. I'm like, well, it's closed anyways. Ain't no sense in leaving now. And he's like, oh, I'll be right back. The guy's got like 4 dogs in this place. He loads all the dogs up in his car, and he leaves, and like his sons are there, and like they're friends, and they're like managing the place while he's gone, and he comes back, and he brings us burritos, and
Nice.
I have a greenhouse, and I make the vegetables, I make all this stuff, and I made you guys these burritos. And like the dude didn't make them at the restaurant. He had to go all the way home to get his shit, like he cooks them there,
Yeah.
and then brings them back. And like, what an amazing thing. And like, I keep track, like the guy added me on Facebook or added him or whatever. And like, we still talk back and forth. And that was like
Nice.
part of my reasoning. If you ever keep track of, kind of the people that you meet along the way, because I did with him. We talked about cast iron skillets, and like the way to test a cast iron skillet's how well you can cook an egg in it without it sticking. And like, I get home and I made some eggs, and I sent him a picture of my cast iron skillet. Like, check
Nice.
this out. Mine's better than yours, and like
Yeah.
just some friendly banter. And yeah, it's just really cool to see that. And I bet you have a ton of,
Man,
interactions like that.
I have so many people and that I've built like really good moments with,
Right.
and I'm so blessed that I have like the tie of social media
Yeah.
keeping that spark alive
Yeah.
in a way.
Right.
But I mean, also, I still get Venezuelans message me every week. I get, a person from this continent or that continent message me too. It's a lot to take on.
Sure. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I say, like when you run across like you're a ball of energy. You come across the whole world of these little balls of energy, and you take on. You become.
Yeah.
You absorb a little bit of each, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and what a vast spectrum of energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
to have.
Sure.
That's great power, and with great power comes great responsibility.
Hell yeah, dude, sick.
So, yeah, I'm so blessed with a lot of very kind people that I met. But I feel like a lot of spiritual kind of pressure almost to keep up those relationships at the same time.
Yeah, sure.
And this is where I sometimes run into a little bit of internal fire or guilt, because you don't necessarily want to hurt people or make them feel cast out or ignored.
Right. Yeah, I know
that.
exactly what you're.
But when there's
it's
so
a
many
dilemma.
when there's so many moving parts, sometimes it's hard.
Yeah.
To spiritually take on that amount of friends and people.
Right. Yeah, I know exactly what you feel on that. Exactly. Yeah. Damn, man. Well, I greatly appreciate you doing this.
Yeah,
this
dude,
is
me too.
This is awesome. I hope that whenever you you come back from this next expedition here, on your tours, maybe we can sit down and shoot the shit again.
Yeah, so I'll be going down to Guatemala
Yeah.
December to April, and I'll be climbing that volcano twice a week, Volcan Fuego and Acatenango.
I hope you send me pictures.
Oh, I'm at Wanderwood 18.
Yeah, yeah. How does everybody on here that's watching, how they find you?
I'm at Wanderwood, WANDER, Wood 18.
And that's on what, Instagram?
Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to be posting some YouTube stuff. I think I got like 2 subscribers there. I've put some shorts of the volcano on there.
Yeah, I'll watch it, yeah.
But yeah, Instagram, Facebook, everything.
Yeah, and I tagged you on the Facebook thing. If you guys are listening on Spotify or iTunes or wherever you guys listen to your cool stuff, if you jump onto my Facebook page, it's just Brandon Briles. he's tagged in this. So I think it's just Tyler Wood, right?
Tyler Wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to like eventually helping people. Well, one, I'm going to be publishing that book hopefully next year.
Yeah.
But I also, um, yeah, I got a lot of experience, and I can, if anybody does
Want to walk halfway across the world?
need a nudge or any ideas, I'm always here to help with that, because I think that's so important.
Dude,
So
it's
so
the
important.
most important. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's the hardest thing is like that first step, I think, in just
Yeah.
about any journey that you.
And sometimes you just want somebody that understands that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
You're obviously the guy.
Look forward to being a coach for a variety of people.
Yeah. Well, you're
Yeah.
definitely a coach to me, dude. This is rad. This is cool shit.
Yeah.
Like I actually after I talked to you, I called my mom immediately. And I've been going through some shit like in my personal life and all this stuff. I called her and I haven't done the podcast in a while, and it's something I've been really trying to get back to. And I was like, what are the odds?
This guy.
What are the odds? You know, I'm on the phone with her. I was like, I'm buying a laptop case that I wasn't even looking for. I just seen it and I was like, damn, that'd fix some problems I got. You know, when I'm traveling and stuff, I need a nice laptop case. I'm always worried about my laptop. This would be perfect. And then I just happened to find this guy that's doing the coolest shit ever and is like a huge inspiration. I gotta talk to this dude.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like
Facebook Marketplace, the
yeah,
new age Craigslist. Well, you never know what
you're
you're
gonna find. You're gonna have him on your podcast in a couple of days, and he's a serial killer, and he's gonna come trap you in the basement.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet your poor mom. I bet she's like, you cannot go. You cannot go.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're not going to Attica with this guy. You don't even know him. He's a creep.
Oh, she probably already looked you up.
Oh yeah, she's like, this dude's definitely a creep, and you're not. Yeah. But no, man, I do. I greatly appreciate you doing this, and I really hope we can do this again.
Yeah, man, I do too. Keep a little series going.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I was telling Brandon earlier today, I was in the shower thinking how I really just pulled a good old fashioned Joe Dirt. You know, he found me off the streets of Facebook Marketplace and brought me into his podcast studio, and here we are.
And you said earlier,
I got the long hair.
Yeah, dude.
I just need to shave in.
We got to work on that business up front, brother.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, life's the garden.
Then I've
man.
really reached legend status.
Yeah, seriously, that'd be sick. Damn. Well, let's wrap this thing up, dude. I got to take a piss, and I'm ready to cook you some dinner.
Me too.
I'm sure you're getting hungry. I'm gonna make you something sweet.
I think we talked for a bit there, no?
Yeah, dude, this is awesome. I'll talk to you all night.
I hope everybody loved it.
Oh, we got some cool comments. I always like to read some of these comments too.
Did you turn it off?
No.
Okay.
I got them on. They just don't pop up on that thing. But thank you, Tyler Wood, for supporting our project. That's camping Mitad del Mundo.
Mitad del Mundo. That's it. Oh my gosh, that's the people at the center of the great people at the equator.
Yeah. So they put greetings from Ecuador.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So they're.
It was a wonderful family. I stayed with them for almost a week. I'm gonna break into a story here, but
yeah, go ahead.
I stayed with them for a week at a small campground right on the equator, like on the equator in Ecuador, actually the highest point of the equator.
Oh wow!
And then right down the hill from it was this small family campground, and just I stayed there, and they invited me in like one of the family. Like
really,
we had a big lamb roast. They brought all their family over. One of the cousins or something was becoming a cop and had finished with school, so they invited me to join the whole family, and then they made a whole cooey for me, like a family meal separately.
Oh wow!
At this point, I had been completely sober from alcohol for a year and a half.
Okay.
And then the father, Valentine, what uh, uh, a soft, kind, playful fella he was. He would come puttering up to my campsite every day, and we'd just have a short conversation. And one night he invited me up to his family's place up the hill where they were making homemade chocolate and bizcochos, which are a local cookie,
Okay.
very local to the region. And he had a bottle of chicha that he had just made, which is like corn spirit.
Okay.
And we ended up having a little bit of that together. And I will never forget giggling with him, with Valentine, on the way back home, like after having such a nice night with their whole family. Like, I was so glad that I said yes, to come up there. I was so glad that, I bent my hard boundary to, kind of create this, help foster the bonded moment that me and Valentine had.
Yeah.
Like, it was a great moment. So that's really cool that they commented on that.
Yeah. And you got Hector Huzar.
That's my boy.
Yeah, okay. He said, what's up, Tyler Wood? Yeah, he said, love you, brother.
I ain't seen him in a while, but
yeah.
I love Hector, dude. I miss him.
Yeah, David Flores.
Venezuelan.
Yeah.
He made amazing rap videos.
Okay.
Of him giving food out
to
homeless refugees on the streets. So he would like do the pictures with every person he would give a bag of food to and make a rap video.
Really?
To it, and then I would share it.
Yeah.
Instagram. So that was
awesome.
very, very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sick, dude. Yeah, there's a bunch of people in here, man, that have jumped in here and that have watched, at least some of it, if not all. Yeah, there's a ton. Yeah, you're obviously loved by a ton of people, man, and it's a great honor to have you on here. I think it's very cool.
Yeah. Well, I'll look forward to looking at all that too.
Yeah.
I've mostly been staying off most of the socials except for writing my journals.
Really? Yeah. And are you still doing that?
My journal every day. No,
yeah.
That was just during the trip.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're only writing.
Once I get back out to Guatemala, I'll be trying to post a lot more. But right now.
But I mean, are you still writing?
I'm more focusing on gearing myself towards writing the book.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
So current journals, no.
Right.
But no, kind of enjoying a break from writing right now.
Sure.
I wrote hard and rode hard for 100 days.
Yeah.
So now I'm just kicking back. And
so about the book, do you know where that will be available at? I mean, it might be kind of future.
No. Yeah. Just follow me and see what happens.
Yeah. Sure.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I will buy it. I will buy the book.
Yeah.
Tell me when. Tell me where to get it. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna wrap this thing up, man. Again, Tyler, what'd you say your Instagram thing was again? I'm sorry.
Wanderwood.
Wanderwood, does it? Yeah.
WANDER Wood 18.
Yep.
Instagram, Facebook.
Yep. Follow this guy.
YouTube. Follow me, even if I don't post anything on YouTube. I'll eventually be posting something.
Hell yeah, I can help you out with all the video editing you need.
Yeah.
Don't be trying to buy my case back either when you get a nice fancy laptop.
No, man.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Here you got one more. Brittany Christine. Love hearing about your adventures, Woody. Hello from me and Joe. Would love to come back to Antigua someday.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you all that have watched. If you are jumping on this as it's live, it will be available on YouTube and Spotify and iTunes and all that good stuff. It'll also be available on Facebook, just regular video here probably for the next hour. And the Brandon Briles Christmas Miracle is coming up. The dates have been set so far, but they are subject to change a little bit. We will be shopping on the 20th, and we will be giving out toys on the 21st of December. I don't know where this is going to be at yet. I got to talk with the people at the Attica School since they moved the grade school up to the new building. But I'm going to shoot for that. And as far as people wanting to donate money and that kind of thing, looking to start taking in donations right after Thanksgiving. I'm going to be in South Carolina until after Thanksgiving, it looks like, but I'll be back on Monday. And when I get back, it is all hands on deck. All the marketing and advertisement mumbo jumbo will be coming out, flyers and all that. The official 2024 Brandon Briles Christmas Miracle t-shirt is available on brandonbriles.com. If you want to buy it, heck yeah, great. If not, I totally understand. And all the proceeds from that will end up going to the Christmas event for the children. So I think that's it. And I really appreciate everyone for watching. Tyler, you are a rad dude, and I look forward to having you come back, man.
Yeah.
I'm sure I could talk to you for hours and hours and
Never
hours.
know who you're gonna meet on Marketplace, right?
Yeah, right. Hell yeah, dude. Well, thank all you guys.
Yeah.
I love y'all, and we'll be seeing you hopefully real soon.